Hello friends, today's presentation is on Right to Education Act 2009. This is a very important topic. So let us understand some of the important features and provisions of the Right to Education Act 2009. So first of all, let's understand what RTE or Right to Act 2009 is all about. So the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act or RTE Act is an act of the Parliament of India which was enacted on 4th August 2009, and this right describes the importance of imparting free and compulsory education for children in the age group of 6 to 14, and it is covered by Article 21E of the Indian Constitution. And according to this act, education is now recognized as a fundamental right of every child, at least between the age group of 6 to 14. Now let's look at some of the important wordings of this act. Okay, this article incorporates the word free in its title. Now what does this word free mean? It means that no child is liable to pay any kind of fee or any kind of expenses which may prevent him or her from completing elementary education. That is, at least up to class 8, a child should not be made to pay any kind of money. Next is compulsory. Word means that it is obligatory or compulsory on the part of the government to ensure admission, attendance and completion of elementary education by children in the age bracket 6 to 14. So compulsory means that the government should ensure equal admission, not just admission, attendance and also completion of the elementary course by all children, at least up to class 8. Then this act also ensures free elementary education to children especially belonging to economically weaker sections of the society. So this is some idea. These are some points on the meaning of RTE Act. Now let's look at the background of this act. Now this act was introduced after the 86th constitutional amendment which came up in the year 2002, and this constitutional amendment inserted Article 21A in the Indian Constitution, which reads that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of 6 to 14 years in such manner as the state may by law determine. So this is Article 21A, which was inserted after the 86th Constitution Amendment Act. Now Article 21A is the one which guarantees the right of children to free and compulsory education. Now as per this, the right to education was made a fundamental right and was removed from the list of directive principles of state policy, and India became one of 135 countries to make education a fundamental right. So currently there are 135 countries in which education is a fundamental right, and India is one among these countries, and this act came into force on 1st April 2010 in India. Now after understanding the background and the meaning of the RTE Act, let's look at some of the important provisions of this act. Okay, the first of all, this act provides for free and compulsory education to children until they complete their elementary education, that is till their class 8, in a school in the neighborhood. So that means schools should be located within the walking distance, not that a child will walk for hours to reach the school. Elementary education a child should complete in a school which is located within the neighborhood. Next is the act provides for the admission of a non-admitted child to a class appropriate to his or her age. That means if a child is left out, such a non-admitted child should also get an admission in a class appropriate or suiting his age, his or her age. Then it also mentions the duties of the government, the local authorities and also the parents in ensuring the education of a child. So it is not just a responsibility of the government, but even the local authorities and the parents, all the stakeholders should assume the responsibility of providing education to their child. Then it also says that there should be no rural-urban imbalance in teacher posting. We see that mostly teachers are not willing to serve in rural areas, so because of which the quality of education in rural areas suffers a lot. So because of this problem, there should not be imbalance as far as teacher posting in rural and urban areas is concerned. Sufficient amount of teachers should be posted in rural as well as in urban areas. It also provides that teachers should be appropriately trained and qualified. So teacher training, teacher qualification should also be considered as far as their appointment is concerned. This act prohibits mental and physical punishment. Then screening procedure, selection at the time of admission of the children, selection on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, such kind of practice should not be there. Then any kind of fees should not be charged. Then private tuition by the teacher should not be offered. Then those schools which are running without recognition, that should also be stopped. So these are some of the important prohibitions which are provided by these act. And as far as the curriculum is concerned, the act emphasizes that curriculum should be developed in accordance with the values which are included in the Indian Constitution, and the curriculum should cover such contents which take care of the all-round development of the child. So these are some of the important provisions of the RTE Act. Next, let's look at the significance of this act. Now, this act has laid down a specific standard for student-teacher ratio. So what should be the pupil-teacher ratio? So as for this act, at the primary level, the teacher-pupil ratio should be 1:30. And at the upper primary level, the ratio should be 1:35. That means one teacher for 30 students at the primary level and one teacher for 35 students at the upper primary level. So it has given us a very, very specific standard as far as a pupil-teacher ratio is concerned. Then it talks about providing separate washroom facilities for boys and girls and other facilities like drinking water facilities, adequate classroom conditions. These are other important features of this act. Then the stress on avoiding rural-urban imbalance is a very good recommendation, because this step can address the issue of quality and can lead to appointing equal number of teachers in both rural as well as in urban areas. Then this act also prohibits zero tolerance against any kind of punishment, and also the fact that it prohibits any kind of screening procedures at the time of admission can lead to some sort of equality in education. Then this act also mandates that no child should be detained until class 8. That means no child should repeat or should not fail in any class, at least till class 8. So this is also another important significance or merit of this act. Then this act is justiciable and has a grievance redressal mechanism, which means that people can take action when they feel that the provisions of this act are violated. Okay, so this act is justiciable. Then this act also provides for the fact that all private schools should reserve at least 25% of their seats, especially for meritorious children belonging to economically backward sections and socially disadvantaged communities. So these are some of the important merits of the RTE Act. Now, having talked about the merits, there are certain criticisms also. So let's look at some of the demerits of this act. First of all, the act came very quickly without much thought on the quality of education. So quality aspect is compromised because of the fact that no detention policy, because of mostly because of this no detention policy, the quality of education has degraded. Next is children below 6 years are not covered in this act, because it talks about providing free and compulsory education only to children in the age bracket 6 to 14. So children below 6 years of age are not covered by this act. Then many of the schemes under this act are repeated, because free and compulsory education to children in the 6 to 14 years is not a new thing, because it started way back in 2001 with Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. So it is felt that some of the schemes, some of the provisions of this act are a mere repetition, and there's nothing new in this act. So this kind of criticism is also there with regard to this act. Then At the time of admission, many documents are required, like birth certificate, BPL certificate, and all these formalities are there, because of which the children belonging to categories like orphans, they are often excluded from procuring education. Okay, so this is another hassle with regard to the RTE Act. Then there have been problems with regard to implementation, especially with regard to 25% of seats reservation for children in private schools. So because of this, a seat in reservation, especially in private schools, a lot of problem we see. Okay, a lot of problem have been identified, like discriminatory behavior on the part of the teachers towards children belonging to economically weaker sections. So such kind of attitude, discriminatory attitude on the part of the teachers towards parents, towards children, has been considered as one of the important defect with this act. And it has also been found that many states in India could not move to continuous and comprehensive evaluation system, which was one of the important features of this act. Okay, this is mostly due to lack of teachers training. Continuous and comprehensive evaluation system is one of the important provision of this act, but many states could not find it easy to implement this continuous and comprehensive evaluation system, because the teachers lack required training and orientation in handling this continuous and comprehensive evaluation system pattern. So because of which many states could not implement it successfully. So these are some of the important criticisms which have been leveled against the RTE Act 2009. So that's all on RTE Act 2009. Thank you for your patience.